of What's Your Take. My name is Dayo Akintobi, and I'll be taking you through all the major stories that made the headlines last week. First, let me begin by wishing all of Nigeria a very happy Easter, and may the reason for the season be made manifest in the lives of each and every one of us. As always, I have with me my trusty sidekick, Yetunde Afolabi, who will be reading out the news and telling us all about the major stories of last week. Yetunde, how are you today?
Morning, I am very well, thank you.
And how was your Easter? Did you have lots of free John and fish? You know, Good Friday, we're not supposed to eat meat as Christians. So the meal of choice for Good Friday is something called free John. Do you know what that is and what it's made of?
No, I don't. That's the first time I'm hearing it.
Ah, okay, interesting. All right, perhaps we should go for some culinary lessons after the show is over. Anyway, Nigeria, trust you're all having a lovely holiday weekend. This is a season of holiday breaks. Easter, there are 2 days of public holidays. Shortly after, there will be another 2 days for Eid al-Fitr, which is the end of the Muslim fasting. Shortly after that, there will be May Day, which is Labor Day for workers. That will be a holiday. And then after that, we're going to have the census, which is another 3 days of no work, which is a good thing for workers because we can sleep. Those of us who are salaried, 9 to 5, paycheck to paycheck people, we can get extra rest. But employers don't like it, and daily paid workers don't like it either. So anyway, let's make the best we can of all the holiday seasons. And in the news yesterday or over the weekend, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo visited the Dia family to commiserate with them over the demise of the late General Dia. And something struck me about what the good Vice President said. He said General Dia proved his life after public service. That struck me as rather poignant because guess what? The Vice President's tenure itself is winding down now. And I'm wondering, was he looking at what his life will be like after he leaves office? He's saying there's still a whole lot more to life after you leave public service. I'm sure the good people of Nigeria expect to still see Professor Osinbajo being active in national, global, regional, and diplomatic and all kinds of other affairs, in as much as he seems to have acquitted himself quite admirably as a vice president of the country. So, sir, we look forward to still seeing you out there serving the public even after you've left office as vice president. All right. So, the focus of our show today is on the security situation across the country. There seems to have been a bit of a lull when the elections were happening, but all of a sudden now insecurity is rife all over again. So the focus of our show today is on the insecurity situation that's raging across the country. Lucky for us, our guest today is someone who can tell us a thing or two about security. Joining me to give his take on the big stories that made the headlines last week is Bamidele Ologundudu. Mr. Ologundudu is a retired Major General of the Nigerian Army. Welcome to What's Your Take, General. Thank you for taking the time out to join us today.
Thank you very much.
Brilliant. On a lighter note, let me just ask, the literal translation of your name from Yoruba to English is Black Warrior Ologundudu. Do you think you are destined to be a soldier? I mean, your name is so apt to the career you chose. Do you think that's destiny in the making, that you more or less became a warrior in defense of Nigeria as a career, especially as that's what your name signifies?
I think it's destiny because I wanted to be a doctor. Maybe you are aware of that. And if I should tell you, I got supplementary form to enter Nigerian Defense Academy, so it wasn't planned. I just took supplementary form because I had my GCO levels then, and I just saw a supplementary advertisement. Please, if you have your GCO levels, come and write your exams. And I went to write the exams, and today I'm a retired Major General. So it was destiny, not planned. It was supposed to be medical doctor, planned.
Well, destiny has a way of throwing us curveballs on the best laid plans. So, Black Warrior, welcome to our show. Yesterday, over to you. Don't dare call him Black Warrior when you address him. He's General. Because the army.
Ladies have immunity with me.
Ladies have immunity. Oh, you won't make a frog jump on it. No. Black Warrior.
Ladies have immunity.
Okay. All right. Yesterday, General says insurance covers you. So go ahead.
Banditry and kidnapping. Business has resumed fully after a lull occasioned by the elections. There's been a rash of killings, abductions, and general mayhem unleashed across the country in recent days. In Benue State alone, suspected killer herdsmen gunned down 87 people in Benue State within 48 hours. 34 of them in a nocturnal attack on an IDP camp on Good Friday. In Zamfara State, 80 children were kidnapped by terrorists, bringing the number of Nigerians kidnapped by gunmen to 333 over a 6-week period. Gunmen and terrorists have also been responsible for attacks in Abuja, Lagos, Cross River, Niger, Taraba, Rivers, Delta, Edo, Nasarawa, Kaduna, Kano, Ondo, Adamawa, Ekiti, Ogun, Osun, and Plateau states. The burning question on Nigerian lips is, amid all this mayhem, where are our security forces? Where's the DSS? Where's the army? Where's the police? Perhaps your guests can help us better understand what is happening or not happening, Dio. Over to you.
General, yesterday paints a really bleak picture of the security situation across the country. Things are so dire that Governor Ortom of Benue State told President Buhari ahead of the weekend that beyond condolences, he should go and fish out the killers of Benue people. Surely that must be a first. A governor rejecting the president's condolences over the killing of the people in his state. How do you see this whole insecurity issue? I mean, IDP camp, internally displaced persons camp. These are people who are impoverished, who are dislocated, who are desperate, and you go there and you eliminate so many of them. What is fueling this insecurity problem? You as an insider in the army and a current consultant to the Nigerian Army Resource Center, can you give us an insight into what really is responsible for this insecurity in the country?
Yeah. I think it's a combination of bad governance, and what I will call the inability of Nigerian police to function. Whether you like it or not, internal security is the job for Nigerian police. Until you restructure, re-equip, and retrain the Nigerian police to do its job, I don't think we are going to have a solution to this security problem. I could see when you are listing those who should be responsible, you first mentioned Nigerian Army even before Nigeria Police. It's totally wrong. Where are the mobile police force? You must have an organization ready to confront violent crimes. Until you have that, they do it 24/7. The military is not supposed to do We are not the ones to do that. We can help, we can come in, but you need an organization 24/7 pursuing the bad guys, the violent criminals. And until you have that, you can't solve Nigerian problem. The Nigerian police must be restructured, be equipped, retrained to do its job.
But General, the homegrown terrorism we have nowadays, the terrorists we have, they carry sophisticated weapons, they have deep funding, they have the resources that they can marshal for major onslaughts. It's the Nigerian police who still carry ancient AK-47s, who don't have money to fuel their vehicles, who are not really trained in the type. I mean, Nigerian police, the way we see it as Nigerian public, is that they are for enforcement of law and order, traffic control, investigating crimes like murder, local crimes that are within communities. But when you're looking at an organized effort like terrorism, an enemy you can't see, it's the Nigerian police. Isn't that why the army was called in? Is because it is beyond the capability of the Nigerian police to cope with?
Well, I think we are getting it wrong. Internal security is a secondary assignment for the military. It's not our primary assignment. We can be called in to help, but once the situation stabilizes, we are supposed to withdraw. The truth is, it is the job of the police. And by the way, our police no longer carry ding guns and the type of guns you are talking about. They carry Kalashnikovs, just like my men. Mm-hmm. And the problem is their training, their ability to confront the robbers. You can't fail to train. You can't fail to equip. You can't fail to organize. And you want to face robbers that
opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the president of the federation.
Hello and welcome to News Now on TV360 Nigeria. I am Folashade Ogurinde. We begin in Lagos, where a building under construction has collapsed in the Banana Island area of Ikoyi, Lagos. The incident happened on Wednesday evening, while an undisclosed number of construction workers have been reportedly trapped under the rubble. Some of the workers at the site escaped unhurt, with some sustaining varying degrees of injuries. The Lagos State Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development, in a statement posted on its verified Facebook page, says no approval was given for the construction of the collapsed structure, adding that an investigation has commenced into the incident. Over the past few years, Lagos has been experiencing a recurring trend of building collapse. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) says Atiku Abubakar, candidate of the People's Democratic Party (PDP), did not meet the constitutional requirement to be declared winner of the February 25 presidential election. In a preliminary objection filed on Tuesday, INEC urged the tribunal to dismiss the petition by Atiku and his party. INEC submitted that the APC candidate Bola Tinubu met all the legal requirements to be announced as the winner of the election, adding that a candidate must not secure 25% votes in the FCT to be declared winner. The commissioner further explained that the FCT was not accorded any special status in the constitution, as being erroneously portrayed by some political parties and candidates who lost the election. While still in politics, the governor of Bayelsa State, Senator Doye Diri, has emerged the candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the November 11 governorship election. Diri was the party's only aspirant approved by the Philip Shuaibu-led screening committee for the election. Diri clinched the ticket with a total of 305 votes as a sole aspirant of the party out of the 313 votes cast during the primary, which took place at the Dr. Gabriel Okara Cultural Center in Yenagoa. Addressing the delegates and party stakeholders, the chairman of the PDP electoral panel and governor of Osun State, Ademola Adeleke, says the nominee, having satisfied the statutory requirement of the primary, was declared the winner. The Federal Executive Council (FEC) has approved the sum of 6.28 billion naira for surface maintenance of the third mainland bridge in Lagos State. Briefing State House correspondents on Wednesday after the Federal Executive Council meeting at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. The Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, said the 24-month repair will cover 11 kilometers, including interchanges, ramps, and critical links. Fashola said this was in line with the Executive Order 11 signed by President Muhammadu Buhari in April 2022, which gave legal backing to the country's national maintenance policy.
Pavement of the third mainland bridge, and this was approved in the sum of 6,278,063,585 naira 58 kobo for a period of 24 months. This is in consonance with the Executive Order 11 signed by Mr. President for the continued maintenance of public infrastructure. Now, some of you might ask, and I was asked before that, okay, we did some work on the third mainland bridge before, where are there potholes now on it? So this contract responds to the potholes that have become manifest on the entire pavement of the deck of the bridge, spanning 11 kilometers, and the interchanges, Adeniji Adele, Adekunle, and Bagada ramps that all link the bridge. This is for the resurfacing of all of that. Those who are familiar with the bridge will recall that all of these failures were not this manifest on the bridge at the time we were doing the work we were doing. And the work that we did concentrated largely on the substructure of the bridge. The piles, the underwater piles, the pile caps, and also the replacement of the expansion joint and the bearings. These are maintenance works that are critical to the structural integrity of the bridge. What we're dealing with now is different, is the driving surface and also the aesthetics.
The Steering Committee on National Poverty Reduction with Growth Strategy has disclosed that only 50 billion naira out of the 400 billion naira approved in 2022 for the reduction of poverty and growth enhancement in the country has been expended by both the federal and state governments. The co-chairman of the committee and governor of Nasarawa State, Abdullahi Sule, made this known while speaking with State House correspondents after the meeting chaired by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. Sule was spoke in company of the Minister of Budget, National Planning, Clem Agba, and Agriculture, Mohammed Abubakar, also said the project was a national one and not restricted to states. The meeting of the Steering Committee on National Poverty Reduction and Growth Strategy was inaugurated by President Muhammadu Buhari in June 2021.
The meeting of the Steering Committee, on National Poverty Reduction with Growth Strategy. The committee that was inaugurated by Mr. President in the year in June 2021. And if you remember also in July 2022, the same steering committee being chaired by the Vice President sat down and reviewed a presentation by the Technical Working Group, which is chaired by the Honorable Minister of State, Budget and Planning, as well as myself as the co-chair. So we presented, the approval of the 400 billion naira and the distribution of how it will be spent. So today we just came to review the implementation, and the update of the spending so far, and also approval for this year's spending for the same committee. So that's really what just happened. This is not a governor thing. It is actually a national project, where Mr. President, based on the advice, recommendation actually of the Presidential Economic Advisory Committee and the Office of the SGF, make a recommendation for this particular committee to be formed. So it's a national thing. It's not for any particular state. Now, based on that, and the recommendation that was made, and from what we received from the chairman of the Technical Working Group, over 50 billion has been spent so far. So the performance so far is low, is not yet where we expect to go, but nearly every aspect of the 15 areas where the spending will be carried out, Ministry of Social Development, Ministry of Agri, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Water Resources, and then Ministry of Finance and National Planning as well. So every one of them has some kind of implementation one after another.
A federal lawmaker representing Ikpoba, Oka Federal Constituency of Edo State, Johnson Agbonaima, has blamed highly placed Nigerian cabals for the enormous revenue loss in the oil and gas sector. The lawmaker made the allegations at the ongoing public hearing on alleged loss of over $2.4 billion on revenue from illegal sale of 48 million barrels of crude oil export in 2015, including crude oil export from 2014 till date. Supporting the move, the chairman of the ADA committee, Mark Wheeler, assured the invited organizations that the aim of the investigation is not to witch hunt, but rather to address corruption and also strengthen the whistleblowers bill, which will soon be passed into law by the National Assembly.
Also, over $3 billion to China and 839,522,600,000 to Norway. These were conclusively ascertained by the buyers. Bill of lading, arrival date, destination port, quantity of crude oil and other documented information. Furthermore, aware that this job has been done in 51 countries where Nigerian crude oil has been exported. The report of the United States of America, being the largest receiver of crude oil and that of other countries, was made available to the former president. The Office of the Attorney General, NIMASA, EFCC, as at today, the country has to eat credit over 17 billion of recoverable shortfall for undeclared crude oil export to global destinations.
The onus is on the House of Representatives as a responsible house of the Nigerian people to carry out a thorough investigation to ascertain the veracity or otherwise of these allegations, including the investigation into crude oil exports from Nigeria from 2014 to 2022, to ascertain the accuracy of recorded revenue from the source during the period, The utilization of this revenue and identity and likely additional losses in the revenue to the country.
So I want to assure you that while we will not allow Nigeria's commonwealth to be stolen and frittered away, we will also have to uphold the very tenets of human rights and the rule of law to say that everybody deserves a right to a fair hearing and a right to respond.
No fewer than 152 Nigerians living illegally in Libya have been evacuated back into the country. The returnees arrived on Tuesday at the cargo wing of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Ikeja, Lagos. The new batch, comprising 127 adults, 15 children and 10 infants, were received under the federal government's voluntary evacuation exercise. Our correspondent, Simis Ladigun, has the details in this report.
The Al Borak Air Boeing 737-800 from Libya touched down at the cargo wing of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport at about 4:30 p.m. on Tuesday. One after the other, the returnees, comprising 73 adult males, 54 adult females, 15 children and 10 infants, touched home soil after living as illegal migrants in Libya. Their weary faces tell the story of their ordeal and sometimes barely able to walk. Some returnees could not hold back their tears as they recounted their experiences in Libya.
My experience was a very bitter one. I was told to come and work, and after 5 months I would pay them their money. On getting to Libya, the whole thing changed, and I went to Libya, discovered hernia, and was very sick. But with that sickness, I have to work and pay the person, and she pressurizing me to pay more. But thank God for Nigeria Embassy, and thank God for IOM. They rescued me.
When I found myself in Libya, so the only thing that I heard that someone said that she's my burger, that she burgered me in, that she paid money for me to come to this country, and I got to pay her, I got to work and pay her. So that is, so I got to work, and she told me that I'm going to pay her 11,000 Libya dinar, that is 1.1 million naira. So I got to hustle the money, so I got to work. Every month I work and I pay her money.
The excited ones among them say they are happy to be free from the inhumane conditions under which they lived in Libya. They expressed gratitude for the opportunity to reunite with their families.
My sister, I don't feel like you. I dey happy. I even the sleep where I go sleep today sef, I no even know sha. The happiness where I get as I dey like this, I call my father's land. I thank God. I thank God because e no easy.
I suffer dey Libya, like kidnap dem, dey kidnap people. If say I know say Libya no good, I for no good. Na because I don't have business, I make am go Libya. I feel fine. I dey good now. I just dey happy, like say I don't get better wife.
While reeling out set plans to rehabilitate the returnees, the Assistant Chief Admin Officer at the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons appealed to Nigerians to avoid being lured by lofty promises associated with irregular means of migration.
We have so many programs in place, on how to carry them along, how to sensitize the society. We used to have town hall meetings. We used to have, we go from places, marketplaces. We distribute tracts and on issues on irregular migration at large, so that they will have knowledge on what it takes, the risk is involved in traveling irregularly. It's always better to travel regularly so that you have peace of mind wherever you find yourself in the world.
This new arrival is part of the IOM's voluntary repatriation exercise that facilitates the return of Nigerians who are stranded in Europe. According to the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, there will be more returns before the end of the second quarter of this year. Simisola Adigun, TV360, Lagos.
Well, take a breather now and be back with more stories, to stay with us. Welcome back. Well, in case you missed any of our news bulletins, for more updates, you can catch us on Limex World TV or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria. On Facebook, we are at TV360 Online. India on Thursday recorded 10,158 new COVID-19 cases, 30% more than yesterday. The active cases in the country have now gone up to 44,998, according to data by the Union Health Ministry. According to the Health Ministry website, the nationwide COVID-19 recovery rate has been recorded at 98.71%, but has entered the endemic stage in India as cases will rise for the next 10 to 12 days. China's exports surged in March as the world's second largest economy continued to rebound from Beijing's harsh zero COVID-19 pandemic policies. Customs data shows that total exports soared 14.8% year-on-year in the first rise in 6 months when lockdown crippled the economy, while imports fell a smaller than expected 1.4%. Chinese authorities say the government has set a growth target of about 5% for gross domestic product this year, after growth of just 3% in 2022, one of the lowest rates in decades. We'll take another break and be back with more stories in business. To stay with us. In business, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, has retained its growth forecast of 3.2% for Nigeria's economy in 2023. It was also projected by the Washington, D.C.-based global lender days after the World Bank revealed that the Naira recorded a 10.2% depreciation in 2022, prompted by the rising of food and fuel prices globally, among other stimulants. Meanwhile, the IMF, in its World Economic Outlook for April 2023, titled A Rocky Recovery, also forecast a 3% growth in the country's gross domestic product, GDP, for 2024. The Federal Executive Council (FEC) has approved the provision and installation of baggage scanners at all railway stations in the country at a cost of 496 million naira. Ademola Adegoroye, the Minister of State for Transportation, said this at a briefing on Wednesday after the council meeting presided over by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo. He added that the devices had become imperative because of the need to advance the security of lives and property in the nation's railway facilities and in continuation of the railway revolution in the sector.
Of scanners at all railway stations all over the country. You will all agree with me that in view of the importance of security of lives and property, that such equipment has to be installed at our railway stations. We are starting the railway revolution. We are trying to put in place a lot of things in the railway. We don't want people to come and damage all that government has been trying to put in place in that sector. And so today, there was a memo before council for the provision of baggage scanners at railway stations. And I'm happy to inform you that the Federal Executive Council agreed with us and has approved that contract for scanners to be installed at railway stations, so that when people get there and they have goods, they can pass through the scanners and we can be sure that there's nothing that can destroy, there's something that can cause violence or inflict danger or bring lives and property at stake. The second one had to do with a provision of towage services. You recall that the Lekki Deep Seaport was inaugurated, commissioned by His Excellency the President a couple of months back, and so because the NPA, one of the statutory responsibilities of the NPA is to the provision of marine services, being the regulatory agency in that sector. And so, because of the new Lekki Deep Seaport and the Dangote jetty, the need has arisen for a company that can carry out towage services, so that it will make a lot of things easier and more effortless in the ports. Ship berthing will be easier, discharge of goods will be a lot easier.
The Sudanese army is warned that the country's biggest paramilitary group is mobilizing troops in cities across the country. Meanwhile, the Sudanese army has released a statement in the early hours accusing the Rapid Support Forces of clearly breaking the law. However, the tension has grown and fears of a confrontation between the two sides. This week, leaders failed to meet a deadline to form a civilian-led government, and breakdown of the talks has been blamed on differences between rival military factions. Well, up next is Entertainment Report on News Now.
With massive growth in terms of quality content and cinematography, a number of Nigerian movies, especially action-based ones, have broken record in the cinema and even on streaming platforms like Netflix and Prime Videos. With the latest release of Gangs of Lagos, fans were asked to pick the most impressive among Shantytown, produced by Iniedo and Jade Osiberu's Brotherhood. Shantytown was picked as the most impressive to watch with 34.1% of the votes, followed by Brotherhood, which ranked 29.9%, while Gangs of Lagos came third with 26.9%. Shantytown tells the story of a kingpin in a slum controlled by a corrupt, powerful politician to run an illegal drug and prostitution ring. The 6-part series, directed by Dimeji Ajibola, stars Iniedo, Chidimokeme, and Nsem Ikem Etim, amongst others. Singer and media personality Nick Cannon has shared his dream of having a child with singer Taylor Swift. Cannon, who has had 12 children with 6 different partners, revealed this in an interview just days after Taylor broke up with her boyfriend, Joe Alwyn, of 6 years. The singer admitted that he has no immediate plan to add to his large brood, but would change his mind if Taylor wanted to start a family with him. He claimed he and the singer will understand each other due to their dating histories. That's it on the entertainment segment of News Now.
Away from entertainment, now to sport. Super Eagles striker Victor Osimhen has revealed that his utmost dream is to one day win the African Footballer of the Year award. However, the last Nigerian to win the award was Nwankwo Kanu in 1999 when he edged Ghana's Samuel Kufuor and Ivory Coast's Ibrahima Bakayoko to the gang. The 24-year-old Nigerian international is the highest scoring African player in Europe's top 5 leagues with 21 goals and is third overall behind Manchester City's Erling Haaland and Harry Kane of Tottenham. And that's the size of our news bulletin. Many thanks for watching. I am Folashade Ogurinde. Bye for now.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the President of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On TV360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians are saying in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it. Use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grants for ranching.
TV360, dissecting the issues.
Very good morning to you, Nigeria, and welcome to another edition of What's Your Take? My name is Dayo Akintobi, and I'll be taking you through all the major stories that made the headlines last week. First, let me begin by wishing all of Nigeria a very happy Easter, and may the reason for the season be made manifest in the lives of each and every one of us. As always, I have with me my trusty sidekick, Yetunde Folabi, who will be reading out the news and telling us all about the major stories of last week. Yetunde, how are you today?
Morning, Dai. I'm very well, thank you.
And how was your Easter? Did you have lots of free John and fish? You know, Good Friday, we're not supposed to eat meat as Christians. So the meal of choice for Good Friday is something called free John. Do you know what that is and what it's made of?
No, I don't. That's the first time I'm hearing it.
Okay, interesting. All right, perhaps we should go for some culinary lessons after the show is over. Anyway, Nigeria, trust you're all having a lovely holiday weekend. This is a season of holiday breaks. Easter, there are 2 days of public holidays. Shortly after, there'll be another 2 days for Eid al-Fitr, which is the end of the Muslim fasting. Shortly after that, there'll be May Day, which is Labor Day for workers. That'll be a holiday. And then after that, we're going to have the census, which is another 3 days of no work, which is a good thing for workers because we can sleep. Those of us who are salaried 9 to 5 paycheck to paycheck people, we can get extra rest. But employers don't like it, and daily paid workers don't like it either. So anyway, let's make the best we can of all the holiday seasons. Now, in the news yesterday or over the weekend, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo visited the Dia family to commiserate with them over the demise of the late General Dia. And something struck me about what the good Vice President said. He said General Dia proved there's life after public service. That struck me as rather poignant because guess what? The Vice President's tenure itself is winding down now, and I'm wondering, was he looking at what his life will be like after he leaves office? He's saying there's still a whole lot more to life after you leave public service. I'm sure the good people of Nigeria expect to still see Professor Osinbajo being active in national, global, regional, and diplomatic and all kinds of other affairs, in as much as he seems to have acquitted himself quite admirably as the Vice President of the country. So, sir, we look forward to still seeing you out there serving the public even after you've left office as Vice President. All right. So, the focus of our show today is on the security situation across the country. There seems to have been a bit of a lull when the elections were happening, but all of a sudden now insecurity is rife all over again. So the focus of our show today is on the insecurity situation that's raging across the country. Lucky for us, our guest today is someone who can tell us a thing or two about security. Joining me to give his take on the big stories that made the headlines last week is Bamidele Ologundudu. Mr. Ologundudu is a retired Major General of the Nigerian Army. Welcome to What's Your Take, General. Thank you for taking the time out to join us today.
Thank you very much.
Brilliant. On a lighter note, let me just ask. The literal translation of your name from Yoruba to English is Black Warrior Ologundudu. Do you think you are destined to be a soldier? I mean, your name is so apt to the career you chose. Do you think that's destiny in the making, that you more or less became a warrior in defense of Nigeria as a career, especially as that's what your name signifies?
I think it's destiny because I wanted to be a doctor. Maybe you are aware of that. And if I should tell you, I got supplementary form to enter Nigerian Defense Academy, so it wasn't planned. I just took supplementary form because I had my GCO levels then, and I just saw a supplementary advertisement. Please, if you have your GCO levels, come and write your exams. And I went to write the exams, and today I'm a retired Major General. So it was destiny, not planned. It was supposed to be medical doctor, planned.
Well, destiny has a way of throwing us curveballs on the best laid plans. So Black Warrior, welcome to our show. Yesterday, over to you. Don't dare call him Black Warrior when you address him. He's General. Because the army...
Ladies have immunity with me.
Ladies have immunity. Oh, you won't make her from jump on the Ikorodu.
No. Ladies have immunity.
Okay. All right. Yesterday, General says insurance covers you. So go ahead.
Banditry and kidnapping. Business has resumed fully after a lull occasioned by the elections. There's been a rash of killings, abductions, and general mayhem unleashed across the country in recent days. In Benue State alone, suspected killer herdsmen gunned down 87 people in Benue State within 48 hours, 34 of them in a nocturnal attack on an IDP camp on Good Friday. In Zamfara State, 80 children were kidnapped by terrorists, bringing the number of Nigerians kidnapped by gunmen to 333 over a 6-week period. Gunmen and terrorists have also been responsible for attacks in Abuja, Lagos, Cross River, Niger, Taraba, Rivers, Delta, Edo, Nasarawa, Kaduna, Kano, Ondo, Adamawa, Ekiti, Ogun, Osun, and Plateau states. The burning question on Nigerian lips is, amid all this mayhem, where are our security forces? Where's the DSS? Where's the army? Where's the police? Perhaps your guests can help us better understand what is happening or not happening. Dio, over to you.
General, yesterday paints a really bleak picture of the security situation across the country. Things are so dire that Governor Autumn of Benue State told President Buhari ahead of the weekend that beyond condolences, he should go and fish out the killers of Benue people. Surely that must be a first. A governor rejecting the president's condolences over the killing of the people in his state. How do you see this whole insecurity issue? I mean, IDP camp, internally displaced persons camp. These are people who are impoverished, who are dislocated, who are desperate, and you go there and you eliminate so many of them. What is fueling this insecurity problem? You, as an insider in the army and a current consultant to the Nigerian Army Resource Center, can you give us an insight into what really is responsible for this insecurity in the country?
Yeah. I think it's a combination of bad governance, and what I will call inability of Nigerian police to function. Whether you like it or not, internal security is the job for Nigerian police. Until you restructure, re-equip, and retrain the Nigerian police to do its job, I don't think we are going to have a solution to this security problem. I could see when you are listing those who should be responsible, you first mentioned Nigerian Army even before Nigeria Police. It's totally wrong. Where are the mobile police force? You must have an organization ready to confront violent crimes. Until you have that, they do it 24/7. The military is not supposed to do that. We are not the ones to do that. We can help, we can come in, but you need an organization 24/7 pursuing the bad guys, the violent criminals. And until you have that, you can solve Nigerian problem. The Nigerian police must be restructured, re-equipped, retrained to do its job.
But General, the homegrown terrorism we have nowadays, the terrorists we have, they carry sophisticated weapons, they have deep funding, they have the resources that they can marshal for major onslaughts. It's the Nigerian police who still carry ancient AK-47s, who don't have money to fuel their vehicles, who are not really trained in the type. I mean, Nigerian police, the way we see it as Nigerian public, that therefore enforcement of law and order, traffic control, investigating crimes like murder, local crimes that are within communities. But when you're looking at an organized effort like terrorism, an enemy you can't see. Is the Nigerian police, isn't that why the army was called in, is because it is beyond the capability of the Nigerian police to cope with?
Well, I think we are getting it wrong. Internal security is a secondary assignment for the military. It's not our primary assignment. We can be called in to help, but once the situation stabilizes, we are supposed to withdraw. The truth is, it is the job of the police. And by the way, our police no longer carry Dane guns and the type of guns you are talking about. They carry Kalashnikovs, just like my men. And the problem is their training, the ability to confront the robbers. You can't fail to train. You can't fail to equip. You can't fail to organize. And you want to face robbers that are now organized, criminals that are now organized. Mind you, it's more or less a business, a criminal business enterprises we have in Nigeria. And that is why they are so organized. And you have their names, and some of them take ransoms and they come, in the open and talk.
Do I hear you making a case for state police? Because you're talking about the fact that there needs to be a restructuring, that there needs to be re-equipping, retraining, all kinds of stuff. Are you alluding to the fact that maybe power should devolve from the center in terms of security?
Well, I always believe you cannot protect my little village from Ondo State all the way from Abuja. It's not possible. And it seems we have accepted more or less, at least in theory, that we must have state police. But beyond state police, you must also have an organization or a force that should be able to confront the very violent crimes. I'm talking of banditry, kidnapping, terrorism. You must have that force.
Within the police?
Within the police, or if you can't, if we know we can't go back to the mobile force, then we must go for an internal security force. President Babangida was trying to create National Guard, and it should have been what should have done that job, the National Guard. But we don't have it. We shouldn't be crying over split milk. So we should be talking about either the mobile police force stepping up to do their job, or we create an internal security force, one way or the other, to fully engage the violent criminals. We can't just allow them to run around without a force dedicated to check them.
So General basically puts it all at the foot of government view, the way security is structured in the country, and perhaps for now, we can't really sleep with two eyes closed, because at this point in time, the security architecture is the way it is, and we shouldn't really be seeing the army at polling units for elections, seeing the army at Lekki Toll Gate for NSAS. These are all things for the police, is what General is saying. But until we get to a point where we structure our security architecture, it will continue to be the way it is. And unfortunately, that means insecurity will continue to rage. So please watch out for your families, your property, your life, and stay safe out there. All right, Yetunde, what do you have next?
The Defense Headquarters, DHQ, has condemned the clamor for an interim government by those unhappy with the outcome of the presidential election, stating that an ING is illegal and unconstitutional. The DHQ went on to warn that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has announced the president-elect, and as such, there can be no such thing as an interim government. Other political and social groups have also condemned the idea, with the APC, the PDP, and the NNPP all agreeing that the call for an interim government amounts to advocating for a coup, which is treasonable and unpatriotic. The House of Representatives has also dismissed the calls for an interim government, asking the DSS to arrest enemies of democracy. The Labour Party has, however, said that the military cannot interpret the Constitution, advising that the DHQ to avoid politics. A media aide to Peter Obi, the party's presidential candidate, Tayo Basi, was quoted to have said that the military should stick to its defense role instead of striving to interpret the Constitution for Nigerians. All yours, Ayo.
General, as a high-ranking military officer while in service, you were privy to the thinking of the Nigerian army of its role in society. Should it stick to securing the territorial integrity of the country and avoid political issues, or is it proper for the army to put its head inside issues that border on constitutionality, the way the DHQ is weighing in on this issue of an interim government?
Well, the Constitution is quite clear. We don't have any business with politics, even though we teach that politics is war by other means, and when you fight war, it's an extension of politics. But the truth is we have no business in politics. I'm proud of the leadership of the military now. They are capable, very intelligent officers, and they know what they are doing. I think they've said it. We are not interested. It is the job of the politicians. Let them do their job. I think that is just the best way to put it.
Do you see these calls for an interim government as tantamount to being a coup? And if that's the case, who can carry out a coup? Can the average ordinary Nigerian out on the street carry out a coup and impose an interim government? Who can make that happen?
I just call it little nonsense of Nigerian politicians. You know, the problem is just personal interest. There is no interim government in the Constitution. There is nothing like that. And I would not like to go into who can carry out a coup or who cannot carry out a coup. But I can tell you, the military is a political coup. The military is ready to face its job of defending the country. We are not interested in it. I mean, I'm a retired officer, and I can tell you the officers and soldiers wearing uniform now who are on active service are intelligent to know that they should not be lured by politicians to doing what they are not supposed to do. And I think it has been addressed by the defense headquarters. We are not interested. Thank you.
The Nigerian Army, a professional fighting force dedicated to defending the territorial integrity of the country and nothing more. General, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, the Minister of Information and Culture, last week in the United States of America, essentially warned the Labour Party presidential candidate and vice presidential candidate that they should desist from the kind of rhetoric that they've been pushing out on the airwaves and on the pages of newspapers that they see as inciting. They are warning them that some of their claims amount to insurrection, amount to advocating an insurrection, and some of their comments border on the treasonable. This is all emanating from the fact or the incident of when Baba Ahmed Dati Baba Ahmed, the vice presidential candidate, went on air and essentially said the president-elect must not be inaugurated on May 29th because he did not fulfill the constitutional requirement, especially as it relates to the FCT. Now, legal minds have said that's up to the court to determine and not an individual. But he was very vehement in his claims that such an injustice must not be allowed to stand. Well, the government has warned him now that is bordering on treason. What exactly is treason? And I remember treasonable felony in Awolowo's time. I think that's very different from what's happening here. What is a treasonable offense? And are Nigerian politicians verging on treason?
Well, Labour Party is a new kid on the block, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
They are sounding like just any other old political parties, you know. When you lose, you start shouting and you start saying the building should collapse and things like that. I think when you incite people to go against the government, to overthrow the government of the day, then you are becoming treasonous. They call for interim national government. It's not in the constitution. I don't know how we are going to get into that. I'll be interested in them that, you know, I would have loved them to tell me how do you form the interim national government, and they back it up with the relevant portion of the constitution where you can do that. But they've not done that. I think the new kids on the block are just behaving like the old ones, you know, just the main thing is they are saying things that are just, you know, to their benefits and to their advantage, and they are not talking about Nigeria. Maybe because you don't teach history again. The last interim national government, you know where it led us. Maybe because you don't teach history again in the schools, even though someone said they've started again, you know. But I think if we learn from history, nobody should be talking about interim national government. It's not in the constitution. And we had a bad experience of it. So it's just the new kid of the block behaving like the old ones.
Well, do you think there's a double standard at play here? Because we see Alhaji Lai Mohammed, of course, who's of the ruling party, taking on the opposition and saying the things you say. But we see some people from the APC also come out and say some terrible things publicly, even on TV, on social media. They've also said things that I would say is no different from what that he's been accused of. So how is it morally upright if you have different standards for different players?
Well, it's not good, but that was what I told you. I think some of us are talking about Labour Party because, as I said, they should be the new kids on the block. And you expect them not to behave like the old politicians. If anybody from the old group should say anything, I'll just say, okay, that's the normal thing. But new kids on the block with the obedience and following them, I would love we have new things coming up. You know, politics being something that we can all be proud of. You know, all those unnecessary things not being spoken again. You know, let us have politics. But if you are a new kid on the block and you are talking like a candidate in the 2011 and 2001, I would say, then what's the difference? I think that's just the problem. Okay. Otherwise, well, all our politicians, that's what they do.
So all upstarts need to go through a period of tutelage. They need to more or less pay their dues and learn the ropes before they too can begin bearing their chest like the elder statesmen politicians. All right, here today, we're fast running out of time. So give us our last story for today, please.
Brain drain. A bill to prevent Nigerian-trained medical or dental practitioners from being granted full licenses until they have worked for a minimum of 5 years in the country has passed second reading at the House of Representatives. The Medical and Dental Consultants Association of Nigeria, MDCAN, has however opposed the bill, demanding instead improved welfare for doctors. Over to you, Daya.
General, our lawmakers are in the habit of running off abroad for medical treatment for even minor ailments. Is it morally right for them to seek to stop our medical doctors from seeking better fortunes in other countries? Isn't the ideal solution one where work conditions and emoluments of our medical practitioners, indeed all professions in Nigeria, are improved to the point that no one has to seek a better life elsewhere?
Yeah, but let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Is anybody receiving good pay package? Are you receiving a good pay package in Nigeria?
Well, it could always be better. That's why I said all professions. It's not just medical. Yeah. It's not just medical and all.
I think I would like to see them pass the law and let them test the constitutionality. I have a feeling it's going to fail. I'm not a lawyer. But the way I take the question of brain drain, as I've always told my friends, I think it's a phase in national development. It will come and go. Thank God that most of our rural areas depend on Agbo and the rest. But I think it's something we should be careful about. You know, we should make our medical professionals and other professionals, you know, we should make them comfortable as much as possible within the limits of our, you know, coffers, so that we can give them the best and they give us the best. I wouldn't like anybody to leave because I'm poorly paid. If you say you want to leave because we are too many or things like that, or you want more training, I would like that better than what is happening now. But I still believe it's a phase of national development. We are going to get through this. India and Pakistan were once like us. I think our physics teacher then in Ibobi College was a Pakistani.
Okay, so the general does not believe that the mass exodus of Nigerians to other climes is detrimental to national development. In fact, he thinks it's a relatively good thing. That, of course, hinges on them going to other climes, learning stuff, and coming back to play a role in developing our dearly beloved country. And that is the much we can take today on What's Your Take. I've been discussing with one of Nigeria's gallant soldiers who served this country meritoriously throughout his career. Thank you, General Bamidele Ologundudu, aka Black Warrior, for joining us on the program today.
It's been nice being here. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you all for watching Nigeria. My name is Dayo Akintobi. We'll see you again next time. Have a great day and a superb week ahead. All the best.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the President of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On TV360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world. A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it, so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
TV360, dissecting the issues.
Danfo is the most recognizable cultural icon or artifact as it is in Lagos currently. You know, when you look at every city in the world, they have, most cities have like a particular structure or object or something you can use to represent or identify them. Lagos has quite a number of artifacts, but I think and I believe Danfo is like an outstanding cultural artifact that once you put it, it symbolizes Lagos, and everybody who knows Lagos can easily recognize Lagos with the Danfo. So I feel it's the best thing to do by using Danfo to create my art, or using it as my major means of telling my artistic stories. Portraits of public figures in Lagos. It's a collection that is talking about people who play important role in our day-to-day lives in Lagos, just like the truck pusher, like the market woman, the Okada man, the keke rider, and even the conductors and the agberos. They are making Lagos go in and keep Lagos moving. So I believe when we talk about public figures, some people might want to think about some particular people who really are not serving the public. So I believe these people have been playing important roles, and they've been serving people over the years. Have you ever imagined like a particular driver who runs like 5 trips in a day, and he runs the road for 1 week? How many passengers is he serving? How many people is the conductor attending to? They are actually public figures, but because we don't really see them as important enough, that is why we don't honor them enough, like the way we honor some other people who really don't serve us, and we consider them public figures. But I also believe that these guys are public figures, and they should be given some recognition and should get some reward for the work they have put into our culture today. So that's why we have them as the major means of my characters for the exhibition. I want to believe minimalism is a reflection of my personality, because every artist sort of is representing himself or herself, and it's the way you behave, the way you think, the way you do things, and the way you love things. That's how you will create your own art. So your artwork is just like a reflection of your personality. So it's just an expression or an extension of you. So when you see minimalism, probably it is me you're seeing, and it is the way I think and the way I behave that is reflecting in my work. And another thing I like about this works is that it's very easy for you to get people interested in the message, because there's nothing else distracting them from the message. So minimalism takes people straight to the point. So once they see just one line, there must be something about it, and that is all we are trying to decode. And it makes more sense instead of clouding a painting or a drawing or an artwork with so many other unnecessary subject matter. The exhibition has gone global already, because first it's done in Alliance Francaise, the Lagos, and Alliance Francaise in other countries like in Accra, in Nairobi, in so many other countries. They have been seeing them also liking the work, and people from all around the world, even as far as America, Europe, have seen the show. So first, the show has gone global with the collaboration I had with Alliance Francaise that has put this work to limelight. And I believe after this very exhibition, many other people and galleries would want something like this to run in their space. So that is already in the making. A lot of conversations are ongoing, and I am trusting that it's going to be great in the next outing, because it's going to be another big platform just like the one we have here. For these works in this particular exhibition, they are all paintings, and the paintings were done with acrylic on canvas. And so basically it's acrylic on canvas I used for this work. Although I work with so many other materials, like I do digital creation sometimes, and I print on canvas as well. Then I also do installation. So I quite have multiple forms of art, but for this exhibition, acrylic on canvas. Yeah, there are a lot of VIP downfall buses on the streets. If you would have noticed, like sometimes they write VIP. I have been into vehicles with VIP. I even took selfie right inside it because I was in a VIP downfall. So automatically, I want to believe it's a VIP driver. The passengers are also very important people. But conductor basically is a very important person in the downfall bus, because it's more like the accountant, it's more like the HR person, is still the PR person. So I think I'm just trying to put some respect or trying to give some honor to the functions or the duties of a conductor who administrates the downfall bus. So that is why I created the VIP conductor after creating the fine boy conductor. Yeah, the fine boy conductor is probably referred to like a fashionista, but in this case, it's just trying to show a little bit importance that is needed to be accorded to the conductor. And I have never included blue on a painting that has to do with Agbero conductor before. And blue, for me, it's a bit royal, and putting it on this painting is just because I'm trying to honor a few conductors that I would have entered their buses and appreciated the way they were managing the transport bus. Some of them are very good entertainers as well. So that's why I have a VIP conductor here. This is market woman. My mom is actually the market woman, and I was born around that period when she used to be actively selling in the market. She used to sell at Boundary Market because we were living at Ajegunle then. So right in this painting, I depicted myself and her, like I'm the one at her back and she's carrying me like us. She probably will be entering Downfall 2 at that point in time. So I just try to create a story that will show the everyday experience the regular market woman goes through. They leave the house very early in the morning, sometimes around 4, 5, even with babies like me when I was small. And whatever the weather was, the children experienced it with their parents. So that's my life, and that's what the painting is about. Yeah, right at my left is Fine Boy Conductor. It's one of my favorite pieces from year 2020, and I think it's quite a very popular and loved piece because I knew I used it to apply for Artex review back then, and I was selected for it because I think the work speaks volume. And you know, like I said earlier about the other piece who was a conductor, I was talking about the importance of conductor in the Lagos traffic system, and I have met a Fine Boy conductor before. I can remember one particular guy that I entered his bus from mile 2 to Oshodi. He sounded like a graduate because his English was very polished and he looked quite neat and good, and I just felt like, yeah, their conductors were also Fine Boy. And probably situations around us in Lagos or life, or since some of us don't have opportunities to get what we want, some people might just choose to do that in the meantime. So it's just a thing of recognizing those people who want to genuinely make their life or make ends meet for themselves. So you could find some Fine Boy conductor, and I think they deserve some honor and some glad peace just to honor the Fine Boy conductor. I have another of my beautiful pieces, and it's the Downfall driver. And I think Downfall to me suggests speed, a lot of time, and capturing speed in art is not really easy because the art is static and it's still is just there. But I think I tried showing the speed in the body of the driver himself by showing some kind of cut lines which you could also connect to the way they design Downfall buses. But another thing I have known about the Downfall drivers is that because of the hardship of the road and the people they are dealing with, they have to have a different kind of high, and their eyes are red because they have to deliver. So I have just tried capturing all these so plenty stories and events that happen on the daily basis in the Downfall driver's life in this small painting. And I also try showing the Downfall bus with the yellow colors and the black line down here. So basically, if you want me to begin to explain the color again, I could tell you that, like, you know, they have some kind of hopes and beliefs and a future for their business or for whatever they're doing. So like you could see, I have a different color that is not common in the Downfall scheme, just to show that aspiration or desire for something more beautiful that will come out of all these experiences. I knew I also met a driver who not a downfall driver actually, but a driver who was telling me that he's believing that someday he's going to carry somebody in his vehicle and they will be able to discuss about things in life and the person could change his life. So he has very, very positive expectation about the work he's doing, irrespective of being there. He believes there's something better for him out there, but he believes the person who is going to make the difference could be one of the passengers that will patronize him. So I just think I would encourage downfall drivers to keep the hopes alive if they have hope. For those who are losing hope, I'm encouraging you to have hope, because there is hope, and once we keep the hope alive, the difference will be made in our lives. I have my downfall chief right here beside me, and I know in every kingdom they kind of have like royalties or chiefs or kings or people that they hold to some respect or some regard. And in the downfall sector, we have people that we actually look at and we give some regard to, like from the park, from the streets and all of that. And somehow they don't get any chieftaincy title for their position, but people respect them because of the personality they have right in the park or on the street. So I just felt that there was a need to create a painting that could honor like those people who have really put themselves in position to control and place some sort of order in the downfall system. So in the painting, I try creating like a bead made with black and yellow, just to use the downfall color for the chief. So this is the chief. I hopefully would also want to be one of the downfall chiefs in the future, because it's going to make my work make more sense to people, because I'm also trying to make a difference with downfall. So that is why I created downfall chief. For those of us who patronize downfall buses, we have met different people inside the bus, and we know one of those popular characters I have personally encountered are those fashionistas or those slave mama, as we call them, and you may never believe some of them enter downfall buses because of the way they carry themselves. They could enter a downfall bus to a journey, like they started the journey with a downfall bus, but they end up entering maybe like a ride or a drop later, and they don't want to create the impression or give anybody the impression that they patronize downfall. And I think what I want to do is to get us to talk about that story, about those kind of people. And so that is why I did a yellow CC, and the yellow just resonates with the color of the downfall. So she is a downfall CC, and she's more or less like every other passenger, but she wouldn't want to be associated with downfall. But I am saying, babe, I saw you in the downfall bus. The next piece right here is Johnny Just Come. That's the full word. In Lagos, all of us know now JJC with the column. So when we say JJC, we're actually referring to a newcomer, somebody who is new to Lagos. And once somebody is new to Lagos, the tendency that the person is new will reflect in the way the person behaves and the way the person does things. And just to make it interesting for people who are new in Lagos to know that there's something like JJC, I have created a painting that talks about such kind of people, or that will make people to reflect about their traveling to Lagos. If they are coming for the first time, they just need to get people who give them the right information, so they would have a very wonderful experience in Lagos. I tried making it a little bit symbolic by, like the body of the person shows more like a direction. So this person is calling out for direction, and the person has the chances of getting the right direction, which was symbolized with the blue line, or getting the wrong direction, which was symbolized with the red line. So, and for this very JJC, or for every other JJC who probably were not fortunate enough to meet the right person, their eyes could turn red after a very funny experience. So that's why the figure here has a red eyes. So, and I think anybody who is new to Lagos and hears about this work would be conscious of the fact that they're in a new environment. It's not only Lagos, wherever you go to, you will also become a JJC, not until you get used to the place and the people and what they do. So, but it's a good thing to experience new things, to travel around, and that's the more reason why I created this particular piece called JJC. The prevalence of Okada in Lagos especially, I think, is as a result of the constant traffic we experience. Even on my way here, I faced traffic for almost half of the time that it would have taken me to get to the gallery space, and I think it's really a concern for so many of us, because we want to move and people would rather want to jump on bikes just to save time. I live around mile 2 axis, so I can tell people much more about Okada than so many other people who live in some other areas in Lagos, because the traffic there is just crazy most of the time. And because of that, people take Okada. I found myself in traffic for hours, but just because I am not the Okada person, I would rather sit in the traffic. But I think it's just important to say something about the Okada culture, and I could say some of them are very, very reckless, and that's the more reason why I don't recommend it, but I have taken it at so many occasions too. So I just tried capturing the Okada man, because I believe the Okada man is a significant figure in contemporary Lagos culture. The concern about culture, both for Nigeria and for everywhere in the world, is that it metamorphoses over time. There are things that were used when I was a kid that I'm no longer seeing them used by anybody anymore, and that is how the government have tried to see how they could face off Okada, even if it is still there. But I just believe that every aspect of our experience or our Lagos today should be documented, and all the characters should have a place on my canvases. So that's why I created this Okada man. But this piece is interesting because it depicts somebody who has become what he's doing. Like, you become your profession. You are inseparable from your profession. You cannot be understood in isolation. You could see the man holding the bike, and you could see the circles down there. So, but his body has become part of the machine that keeps the Okada going. So you can't separate the Okada from the man. And everybody in Lagos knows that we call them Okada man. So we have even used the language, that's the linguistic connection of the word for that person to include his profession. So calling him Okada man is like tying Okada to his personality, and that's like a professional name for such profession, even if it is not considered like a real profession. But I just think it makes sense when you create pieces that really volume. It's more or less like what I did in my truck pusher painting. I know you can't cut the word truck away from the pusher, so it goes together, and the truck pusher is one person, but in the painting too, the truck and the person, they are one. So it's just that kind of interesting thing I think I've been able to create through this particular piece right here before us. I have Area Mama right beside me, and you know she's like very popular character in the streets most times, because there are always women like that in very many societies or on the streets, where some people are very much recognized because of their influence in terms of their personality, and in most cases like in Lagos setting, when it has to do with the Danfo guys and all those kind of things, they are very colorful people. They wear like different colors, like very fashionista. You see several piercing, you see colored hairs, and you know, all of that. So I'm just trying to depict that flashiness of an area mama in this very painting. So that is why you see the colors very vibrant and coming out. I wouldn't know why ladies like blue, but I tried borrowing blue and pink color to show that love and connection for for blue and pink. So I want to believe you will love it when you see it in person.
I think it's an interesting tribute to all the people working on the street of Lagos, because we all know that Lagos is very, crowded and busy, and the hustle and the bustle of Lagos. But the way Mr. Danfo represented is a very minimalist way, with just few lines. It looks like it's not much work, but it is actually. And I think the fact that he called this public figures of Lagos is interesting, because when you look at it, you might think it's just few lines, or it's a robot, or you're not very sure, and then you understand that it's a KK driver, it's the Okada man. And the way he represented is quite intriguing, because it doesn't look like that in real life, so it's a nice transcription.
I've known the artist for more than 12 years now, and he has passed through my studio a couple of times. I knew him when he was in school. He was always bringing his ideas, and I saw him as a young man who is full of ideas and is always itching to express himself. So when he came up with the idea of Danfo, in fact, what I told myself was that I'll come and sit at the show, and I'm here. What I've seen today is the use of lines, shapes, what we call geometry, to achieve an effect of what we also call minimalism, meaning that you can use a line to represent a human being, That means you have minimalized that particular figure. So that is what he has employed to express himself. And it has come out in a very beautiful way, because when you go through the work, you will see stories rendered in a very simple way that is not complicated, and that's also very easy for anybody, any Dick and Harry, to understand. That is the essence of what he has done. I think I need to commend him, because many artists will not do this part.
Came to find a very interesting show here by Linus. He's a young man, a young artist whose work is really interesting because it's historical. It's work that dealt with reality. You know, it's work that concerns itself with about issue-based matter that we find around in Lagos. If you come to look at the works, you find the yellow buses, which is quite significant into almost all the pieces he has done. You find the Okada rider, you find the Keke Napeps, and you find the fact that it's trying to call our attention to see the kind of people that commute us from one place to another. We all board some of these means of transportation, like the Keke Napep, the buses, the Danfo, and some of these drivers are sometimes very high on drugs, and we kind of risk our life allowing them to drive us even roughly on the road. And if you try to talk to them, they complain. For you to find an artist quite interested in these details is something that piqued my interest in coming to the show to see what the artists have done. And sincerely speaking, it's awesome what I'm seeing on ground. He's not interested really about just decorative art. These are works that dealt with issues that concerns the average Lagosians. Lagos is quite home for almost all sorts of people. You find almost all the tribes of Nigeria in large quantity in Lagos, and the artist have taken his time to look at what is very common to almost all the public living in Lagos. For me, it's a very interesting show, especially for the fact that these are issue-based ideas.
It's good to have you join me on the program. I am Mary Kanu. Fresh crisis seems to be brewing in the camp of the Rivers State chapter of the ruling All Progressives Congress following the suspension of the party's chairman Emeka Beke and legal advisor Ihan Chukwu Azubike over alleged anti-party activities and financial misconduct. On Wednesday, the special leader of the party's executive committee in the state, Chike Einda, who led other members to a media briefing in Port Harcourt, also berated the immediate past Minister of Transportation and former Governor Rotimi Amechi for failing to lead the APC in Rivers State to victory since leaving office as governor in 2015. Einda, who accused Amechi for criticizing the president-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu, a move he described as anti-party, called on the national leadership of the APC to investigate the activities of the former governor Mechi in Rivers State. In addition to all of this, the police command has invited the APC governorship candidate Tonye Cole for questioning following allegations that two people were shot and one person was killed by Tonye's aid. This happened when the PDP allegedly stopped members of the APC and Cole from gaining entrance into the office of the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC in Port Harcourt to access certified true copies of election documents. So far, there has been no confirmation that anyone died in the clash. Well, joining me now to speak on the troubled political atmosphere in Rivers State is political affairs analyst Nelson Ekudumi. It's good to have you join me. Now, the APC, the ruling party in the country, you could say, had quite an impressive outing in Rivers State during the just concluded elections, but the party's chairman, Emeka Beke, has been suspended for alleged anti-party activity, specifically the failure of the party in some local government areas. Now, what are your thoughts on all of this development?
Well, thank you very much. The truth of the matter is that a party has its internal mechanism for running its affairs, and where members are found, to have flouted the rules of engagement within a political party, the party also has the dispute resolution mechanism, whereby the party can mete out disciplinary sanctions to members. But in meting out disciplinary sanctions to members, it is expected that the party will, comply with the rules of the party, which is to give the alleged member the right to fair hearing. And where that is not done, the party is liable to be, taken to court by that member, and who will seek the upturning of his or her suspension. So whatever happens within a party we must recognize that that party is recognized or registered under the laws of Nigeria as a corporate entity or as a political organization. And the party has the right to conduct its affairs in line with provisions of the Constitution. So it's not a new thing that a party is suspending its member. It's what happens every day. And, because a party is people by human beings, there's no way you not find some persons who will feel, that they can do and undo, forgetting that the party is governed by laws, just like the country is.
But this crisis between the APC and the PDP has long been on ground even before the 2023 general elections. Now, it seems to be getting worse. What exactly, many would like to know, what exactly is the reason behind this seeming animosity?
Well, it's a clash of interest. Don't forget that the former governor of the state, Right Honorable Chibuike Amechi, the erstwhile Minister for Transportation, was the Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly for 2 terms of 8 years. He was the governor of the state 2 terms for 8 years before, leading his new party under the PDP. He was governor under the PDP until he defected around 2014 thereabouts to the APC, and he was part of the frontline members of the APC that led the APC to victory in the 2015 general election. And since then, he has had a running battle with the current governor of the state, His Excellency Yeson Wike, who is of the PDP. And since 2015, there has been no love lost between both camps, that's the PDP and the APC. But sadly, the rumble about inspection of or getting certified true copy of documents from INEC, I think is totally uncalled for. For you to get a certified true copy of documents for INEC, you must come armed with a court order, with a court permission. So I don't think it is right for anybody or any party to debar another party from exercising its right as guaranteed under the law. A political party cannot just approach INEC and say you must give us a copy of your certified true copy of materials. How the law permits INEC to have done that at the election stage, at the polling stations, at the ward level, at the ward collation center, at the local government collation center, as well as at the state collation center. So if you are looking for any other document, you need a court, a court order to do that. So if a party has gotten a court order to go and inspect, and another party is, debarring such a party, I don't think that is democratic. That must be condemned. If any party wants to access INEC materials, they know what to do according to law. It does not speak well of our democracy for people to come and debar a person or a party that has been granted access by law, because we operate a constitutional democracy and it behoves on all of us to play according to the rules. And what are the rules? The rules are that we must comply with the provisions of the Electoral Act as well as the Constitution in conducting affairs. In that way, we'll be able to prevent breakdown of law and order. We'll be able to prevent, animosity that could, ensue between, parties and as well as individuals. So for me, the Buhari in Rivers State is not doing our democracy any good. It's a sad commentary on our democracy, and we cannot, but at this junction, call on all parties to respect the Constitution.
Since you've mentioned democracy, let's now talk about that, because while both parties, were seeking access to certified true copies of election documents, a clash broke out on Tuesday, at the Port Harcourt office of the electoral body INEC, where someone allegedly died. Now, couldn't that face-off have been avoided? Because incidents like this have become quite common in Nigerian politics. So can the country, or should I say the major political parties in the country, not practice peaceful politics?
Well, it's unfortunate that we practice politics of irresponsibility, because I don't see how you're going to access, a material that is already in public domain, can lead to you manipulating it or altering it. They must recognize that if INEC is giving you a copy of a material, INEC has over 20 copies of that material, warehouse in its, in its arsenal. And the PDP going there to debar the APC, it's not right. If the PDP wants to access those materials, they know what to do. The PDP is not a law enforcement agent. The responsibility for providing security at INEC or within the geographical territory of Nigeria lies solely with the Nigerian police. So what, any party is doing with regards to, debarring another party and leading to a breakdown of law and order that has resulted in maybe termination of somebody's life is something that we must all condemn. The parties must recognize that every political party has a right under the law to access INEC materials based on getting permission from the court of law. That is what the electoral says. As I sit down here, even if I'm a candidate of a party, I cannot just go to INEC and say I want to access a material. For me to be able to do that, I need to get the permission of the law. And getting the permission of the law means getting an order from the courts to do that. So anybody doing otherwise, this politics of I will stay on the road, I will provide a blockade for my political opponents, that is not the way to practice democracy. Democracy should be about flourishing of ideas. It should be about, exchange of, ideas to enrich and deepen the process rather than this resort to fist off, this resort to violence, which is absolutely condemnable.
Is it also possible that the bad blood has been created because the APC presidential candidate Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is now the country's president-elect, had a successful run in Rivers State, which we know is PDP's stronghold? Is it possible that this created the bad blood we're witnessing right now?
Well, a lot of things are possible, but don't also forget that the PDP in Rivers State, led by the incumbent governor Nyesom Wike, is part of the G5 governors of the PDP who splitted the party because of their grievances with regards to the southern presidency, which they have all cried foul about. That the party, their party, the PDP, has violated the rules, and the governor of Rivers State made it very clear that his home and dry with southern presidency. So this call by the governor for a southern presidency must have been what led to some of his members of his party voting for the APC candidate, and the APC candidate who is the president-elect today. So in doing that, don't forget that there are some members of the party who were led by the former minister of transportation, who has been alleged to have been working with the opposition, which is the PDP. And if the governor, as the leader of the PDP in Rivers State, is swinging in one direction, and a member of the APC is also swinging in another direction against his party, there will definitely be a clash of interest. And even if there will be this clash of interest, one expects this clash to have been expressed by the votes of the people, as counted and the declaration made by INEC, rather than this resort to bad blood, resort to violence. We can disagree, but the beauty of democracy is that you have a right, to toe whichever line you want to, without ill feelings, without resorting to self-help. And at the end of the day, whoever the majority of the people have decided to pitch their tent with will be declared, the winner by the electoral umpire, and that is exactly what has happened. So it is not unlikely, like you have rightly said, that some aggrieved forces within the APC who are on the other side, their interest is clashing with the PDP, with some members of the PDP as led by the governor, who are on this side, and that crisis has continued to linger on, and it is the result of that crisis that we continue to see, even with regards to the right to inspect certified true copy of election materials at INEC by the APC.
Well, to douse all of this tension, do you think a reconciliatory move by the state governor, Nyesom Wike, will put an end to all of the clashes in the state?
Well, I will expect that in as much as we recognize that politicians, they are a very, how will I put it now? They are a very responsible lot. I put it in, I put that responsible in quotes. I would expect that the APC, if it had gone, to INEC and they have been barred from assessing the materials, the most logical thing for them to do at this point in time is not to take the laws into their hands, but rather to go back to the courts and inform the court that your order is being undermined by XYZ. Then the court itself will take judicial notice of that subversion, that violation of his order, and do the needful. I don't expect them to be flexing muscles on the streets. I expect that if you have gone to court to seek, an order, and somebody is flouting that order, as a Democrat, the most appropriate thing for you to do is to go back to that same court and say, my Lord, the order you gave, I've been unable to execute it. I have not been given the right, to express that order you have given. And the courts know what to do. I think that is my advice to the APC.
All right, now Nelson Kujumi, political affairs analyst, thank you very much for your time and your insight.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, now we'll take a break now and be right back. Just stay with us. All right, welcome back to the program. We're still talking about the crisis in Rivers State between the two major political parties in the country, that is the All Progressives Congress and the People's Democratic Party. And joining me now to speak more on this is the former Deputy Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, Jimo Odeyemi. It's good to have you join me on the program. Now, what are your thoughts on this seeming bad blood between the PDP and the APC in Rivers State? Although, of course, as opposition parties, they cannot be on the same page. But do you think the animosity is taking a turn for the worse?
I think this is expected in a normal political setting. But rather than allow it to degenerate into a physical attack whereby lives are being lost is what I detect. Politically and during campaign, you are bound to sing songs, against each other. Songs that are bad, that are like a campaign for people to vote for your political party. But it shouldn't go beyond that. It should not resort to physical attack. And I would rather say that the security agencies have not been up and live to their duties and responsibilities. If they are, what we should be talking about now is not the crisis between APC or PDP. It's about the arrest that has been made against the perpetrators of people who are out to foment trouble. That is what I can say about that for now.
Right, but let's talk about the face-off between the APC and the PDP. Allegedly, members of the PDP stopped the APC from gaining access into the INEC office to access certified true copies of election documents. Do you think this clash somehow could have been avoided by both parties?
Of course, it could have been avoided. I want to believe that in virtually all INEC of we have security operatives guiding them. If access is being given to APC, there is nothing wrong in PDP saying, yes, if you want to access this document, let us be there as witness so that we know what you are doing. And if it is on the part of the PDP, there is nothing wrong if APC says, yes, we want to witness whatever it is we are doing, so that there will not be any collaboration between one political party and INEC. It is normal. But I think they still have to go through the court process to obtain this permission. And once the permission is granted, either individually to the political party or to each of the political parties, there should be a clause whether the two of them can witness the inspection at the same time or separately. Once this is not clear, once this is not separated, I think this is where we have the clash. And it is very wrong to say it is the PDP that caused the problem. No, I disagree with that.
But in the face of the unrest in Rivers State that we're currently witnessing, do you think a reconciliatory move by the state governor, Nyesom Wike, will in any way douse tensions between the two parties?
I think if that could be done, Wike will be playing the fatherly role as the governor over all the citizens of the state. So there is nothing wrong if such moves are made. I think it's a very good move, and I expect APC to reciprocate that by, aligning themselves with reconciliation moves and ensure that they stop all this bickering and all this physical attack, of innocent citizens.
All right, you mentioned something about security in the country and
many thanks for joining us on the newsroom. I am Tamilora Akinkodia, and these are the stories we are tracking at the moment. Labour Party State Chairman on Wednesday have cautioned the media Papalette Group not to screen candidates of the off-cycle election because they remain suspended officials. In a per statement, Ken Deroti, Chairman of the Forum of the State Labour Party Chairman, says screening was currently ongoing for the off-cycle governorship elections by Bayelsa, Kogi, and Imo States. He also disclosed that NEC had not met to decide if Apapa and other suspended members will be called back from suspension. Governor David Umahi of Ebonyi State has again called on Nigerians to refrain from extreme politics in the face of reactions that have trailed the outcome of the 2023 general elections. Making the call when received the state governor-elect Francis Nifuru at the government house in Abalikili, he pointed out that the Constitution of Nigeria is superior to every protocol, and that it holds the rules that determine the emergence of anyone vying for any position in the country. According to him, one very important task for the incoming government at this time will be to charge all energies possible to keep Nigeria together and united. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention has recorded 846 Lassa fever cases across 99 local government areas in 25 states, with the predominant age group affected to be 21 to 30 years. According to the NCDC situation report on Thursday, the number of suspected cases is now at 4,338, and the disease has killed no fewer than 148 persons in the country. With the current death toll, the agency noted that the case fatality ratio of the outbreak stood at 17.5%. U.S. and Cuban officials have started discussing migration issues as the Biden administration prepares for the end of COVID-era border restrictions that have blocked Cubans in recent months from crossing into the United States from Mexico. After Biden adopted more restrictive border security measures in January, the number of Cubans and other migrants crossed at the borders plummeted. However, the Biden administration is preparing for the possible rise of illegal crossing, with COVID restrictions at U.S. to Mexico border set to lift on May 11. And on business, the Senate has begun a probe of the accountant of the Federation for paying 74 billion naira as social benefits without giving a comprehensive breakdown of the 2016 budget. The Auditor General of the Federation in 2016 report advised concerns over the payment of 262.4 billion naira as social benefits against the 188 billion naira provided for in the budget, resulting in extra budgetary payment of 74 billion naira without a breakdown. The Accountant General, who could not address the query after being probed, was asked to refund the 74 billion naira in fine with financial regulations. And foreign today, a malaria vaccine developed by Britain's Oxford University is to be freezed in Ghana, making it the first time it has received regulatory clearance anywhere in the world. According to a statement by the university, the vaccine has been approved for the age group at the highest risk of death from malaria, which is children aged between 5 to 36 months. The vaccine is believed to be a turning point in the fight against the mosquito-borne parasite disease, which killed 627,000 people, and mostly African children, in 2020 alone. And in sports, Bayern Munich are considering making a move for Napoli striker Victor Osimhen in the summer. Since joining Napoli, Osimhen has grown to become an integral part of the club, scoring 25 goals and recorded 4 assists in 29 appearances across all competitions for Napoli this season. The Bundesliga champions are one of the European giants interested in luring the Nigerian international away from Napoli after losing Robert Lewandowski to Barcelona last summer. That's the latest on the newsroom. Join us in the next hour for more stories. Bye for now.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, the truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the President of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On TV360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world. A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it. Use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
TV360, dissecting the issues.
In terms of settling down, does age affect the chances of choosing the partner you want? In terms of settling down, does age affect the chances of choosing the partner you want?
It should be the choice. I think it should be the choice.
Which way? Me as female,
I
I
as
date a
female as
younger
male.
person.
I feel
age
as
is
a female, as is age a factor in you
deciding
getting
who
what
to
you
get married
want,
to. Yeah, who you want.
to get married to.
Meaning, can I get married to a younger man?
No. Like
Because,
for example, as you grow older, for example, now your chances of getting who you really want becomes slim.
I don't think it plays like that for a man.
For a man, yeah, it doesn't.
For a man,
But it's for a lady.
for ladies, I just feel like you don't. For ladies, you can say that yes, we have the how do they say it? It's not in our favor. You get it's more in guys' favor. You see guys late 40s, just getting married, but for women, you understand? They be like, you think about your biological clock. You think, maybe can she, still be able to have kids and everything. So you understand. So most times when they get to a particular age, they start getting pressed like, like let me just look for one and just settle down or something. You get.
I even think like so.
Just settle for anybody they see.
No, I'm just
no,
saying
they don't. It's just that. Like
older women settle now. They settle at the end of the day.
I don't think they're going to settle. Now there is easy.
I was about to say like
you can freeze
modernization, like
you freeze your eggs. Yes.
It's quite easier now.
It's quite easier.
And again, people have a liberal mind now.
Liberal mind. And even for now, more people are more, maybe because people are now more open, and then civilization and everything. People are now seeing that you don't need to rush to anywhere. Do you understand? Okay, so and then because of what is even happening right now, like people considering marriages where people, you rush in and then you rush out. People are like, no, I'm going to take my time. I'm going to get married to the right person. I'm not negating the fact that some people are still rushing.
You are still taking your time.
Yeah, that's why.
As a woman.
That's why I say.
I'm not saying that maybe she's trying to be picky, but like maybe I'm not saying maybe at that stage that maybe she's saying, I don't like this song, maybe for petty reason. I'm saying maybe at that stage, maybe she has not gotten anybody. She's not going to go and meet any random person and just go and.
But anybody that approaches her, she would agree.
Wrong.
No, that's what I'm saying. No. She's not just going to just because any random person comes to.
Yes.
So you think
she could. That's what I'm saying. Medicine has made things easier and science. So she could freeze her egg and she's not worried about her age to give birth.
Is that the only thing women worry about?
It's part of the thing. That's one of the major things in
That's
Nigeria
one of the major
or
things
in
that
Africa.
people worry about is their biological.
It's the truth.
Unless you don't want kids.
It's the main thing. Because in-laws, your in-laws will tell you, say, why you marry this babe? She don't, she don't give you pikin, she don't give us grandchildren. So we say, that's just
the only reason why you don't feel married.
Major thing for Nigeria.
But what of you?
Me, for an older woman. If I like the older woman, I'll get married to her. There are ways we could
So if she's like 50, can you get married to her?
No, 50 is too much. There's I'm going to be 34. Let's say a lady 40. Yes, I could.
6 years.
Yes, I could. But above that,
What of 41?
no. I'm telling you the age.
41, she just left now.
It's the same thing.
Even that 40
you get
almost 6 years difference.
So that's
Shay, what about you?
Almost is a no. Forget that.
Which age? Like what of a year older?
Maybe my max now 3 years. Max 3 years older. Max.
Everybody has his own decision. So
max.
Well, you should at least consider 41. You should still.
The 41 I don't consider.
47 we go still talk well. You know if you consider 40.
No, but 40 is cool for you.
It's 6
but
years.
I just feel like the most important for men, the worry for them,
actually,
for women, is the fact that one thing they're scared about is their biological clock.
Yeah.
Menopause and all those kind of things. Do you understand? We all know that. Aside, if you're not worried about that, that means maybe you don't want to have kids.
Exactly.
Or
maybe you just want to adopt, or
you want to adopt, or you want to do surrogacy if you've frozen your eggs. You understand? So that's just the thing.
But you know another funny thing in Africa that will make it look like as if it's a woman thing. It also affects men. Getting married at a very...
It doesn't affect men
age.
at
I want to explain to you what I mean by it affects.
Men
I'm not saying men
drop their
post.
standards.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying this. You imagine you getting married as a guy, you're wasting time, you're getting married at 40, 45. So let's say by the time your child will be... Wait,
doesn't mean that it was wasting.
I'm not saying you're wasting time. I'm saying you're taking time. Wait, that is still the same thing. We're only just talking about ladies at this thing.
Just taking
okay, you're taking time, and then you finally get married or get settled at 40 or 45. So by the time your first child will be like 10 years, you're 55 years. So when would you stay to enjoy your kid?
Still enjoy it now.
Like, how? As in, you're already old. Is it at your old age you want to enjoy your kid, or at the younger age?
Like
some people get married as
early
as
what exactly
25 and
they don't have any
45, 50.
What would they do?
That's it. That one is a different case. That one is a different case.
I'm just saying that.
And even at that part, it is because maybe they've not explored other options to get kids, or maybe they don't have the means to get kids.
Yes, so you want to tell me that
people have tried IVF how many times?
Even if it don't work, then you adopt.
We all know how adoption is in Nigeria. Adoption is very, very, the process is long. And which is one of the things that people are really speaking out about. That
the process long, you see
which is one of the things that they're talking about.
Anybody
It's
carry
difficult. People are saying it's very that's why people are saying that's why people go for that baby factory thing. That because of the
doing it the legal way is stressful. Yes,
the legal way is very stressful. It will very stressful years before
Nigeria.
Yes. Wow. Why do you think baby factory
papers upon papers? That's why baby factory is easier. You just go and get the thing easily with your money.
That 1 year you're done.
Now this is even with your money. Yeah.
For years, 5 years, they've not given you child.
One.
You still be on eye, it doesn't mean that you even get it though. Do you understand? And that is why baby factory is moving. And people are really speaking up now. I don't know. People are really speaking on that. Nigeria
regulate.
They should make sure the process is easy. Do you understand?
They just
so
have
that
so many children there, and
so that you can get rid of all these baby factory springing up everywhere and there. Do you understand?
But I don't think a man's standard drops. So even no matter how old he gets at the end of the day, because you see, a man is, especially if he's not rich, but let me say well-to-do. If a guy is well-to-do, his standard will not drop.
I think he said to.
I still want a slim babe. I still want a fair
I think he
babe.
said
lie said to.
I think he said to.
Men don't
He
say
said
to.
to. Do you know why? Wait, they said
to. Even when they are not even old.
Men don't.
Yes,
when
they
they're not
said
able
to. Yes.
Even when they are not old.
Yes. Let me tell you. Let me tell you how it works. Like, when they are serious, and they are active, when they are serious,
especially when their breasts are on their neck.
yes,
Like
they said to.
before you know they say, I didn't like her. She got pregnant for me.
Correct. Like when they are still very
Gone are those
young,
days that
when they are still very
guys
young,
guys
when they are still very young and playful, and they are still, in the field and all, they do this girl. That's when they even have spec. When it's time to settle and they be doing that thing, they settle.
when it's time to settle down.
Settle down.
Yes.
They settle. They settle for anything.
Oh, they don't settle. They pick who pays them. No, it's not settle.
I don't think that I buy with what they are saying.
No, I don't buy what
You know why? Because no, see, let me explain. Wait, let me explain to you something.
How can you say guys?
I've had guys. Let me explain something to
guys
you.
said
I've had guys that
You want me
when
like
they were
this one ended up with this
when they were dating, they were like, boy, if I want marry, see this kind of babe now, this kind of babe, this. And then finally, while they were dating, they had those kind of girls, those classic girls. And then when they're finally ready to settle, you just see the girl and they're like, yeah, I don't see why. How fun now, but nobody this kind person. Like
what thing the guy go reply you?
You tell you say na person wey I just won't deal with. Now like that person wey make me happy.
Bam!
He don't drop
Is
the
this
standard. He don't drop the standard. Because before you say my standard,
wetin you talk.
Waiting like
say na person
like this.
Hear wetin you talk now. He say na person wey I like. The standard.
Dropping standard because
it just be like say wait. It just be like say everybody knows say I like beans. I like beans. Person come give me ewa going. I come dey chop ewa going. You come say but you talk say na normal beans. Like why you come dey eat ewa going? I go say I still say I like this one. Pass this one. You know me say I said two. It means I prefer this one to even this one. No, you know said two. It was his choice.
Because before him talk say, see what I want. Okay, let me use physical attribute. I want baby wey get big butt, baby wey get they won't come marry slim babe.
Maybe the slim,
maybe wear black. And before now, if you get they get big.
But a man calm down. You know, if he be say he see something for that slim babe, when you know
but
say
say he compromise standard.
No, he don't compromise. He upgrade himself. He don't compromise. No think am like that. He don't compromise anything.
Why is he flirting with that respect outside?
They will not be like,
why is he flirting with
respect outside?
Yes.
They will not be
like Jim.
Like after you don't come marry that one, you see the flirt.
You know flirting with respect outside.
Sit down one.
Why?
It's different topic that we cannot delve into now. Men naturally, no matter what,
they like
are promiscuous by nature.
we are issue.
We don't discuss them before. Now I say more no delve into this thing deeply. More no delve into them deeply.
Let's not go into it.
There is a very high probability for a man, even a married man, to still look outside at the end of the day. Because men, our eye knows they stay one place. Now so it be. No, not a loose man. Now so it be. It takes the grace of God, serious grace of God. Serious grace of God.
It's not because
for a man.
Religious belief.
I did tell you.
It's not because of religious belief. It's not because of religious belief and then some form of morality. No be lie. Virtually all men.
Oh, that's like inbuilt. Like inbuilt.
No, I'm not saying it's not
no,
wrong.
so why is it there now? So why is it there? Why is it there?
It's not.
I agree.
I'm telling you.
Inbuilt. It just depends on the man's character and the way he's willing to discipline himself.
That's what I want to prove.
And the percentage of men who are willing to discipline themselves that way is very, 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 very low.
So you're trying to tell
I'm not saying there are some men that exist.
No, like you're trying to say the natural thing. So in that case, a
natural
man
thing.
with extra effort to actually overcome that natural
Yes. Yes. It's true. It's very, very true.
Very true. Very true, Kurudi.
What me I want to say is that all this one that you are saying men. Human as the woman too, as a man,
that thing is
human
there.
nature to want to I don't know how to say
Explore.
explore.
So let's come back to the main topic.
As a personal, it's just like, do you not think of bad things?
Yes, we all do.
We all do. Good. Do you do them?
No.
So it's not gender based.
So it's not gender based.
No.
It's
What's the ratio of married women who cheat?
No, that's
like wait. Like to you, like how many percentage of married women?
See,
no, like
women
based on the experiences the little experience you have from what you've seen so far.
Ratio of women to
what
men.
me I've been hearing, I think is even 50-50 or 60 to 40.
No, right now, yes. Because right now, before, let's use before.
Before,
yes.
Because people are like, oh, this thing, you know, as a married woman, maybe it was like maybe 30 to 40 to 60, you understand? But now with what is going on, with what we are hearing out there,
whoa,
true.
You just wake up and all your kids are not even your own, and you think you're being cheated.
So that's why I said that it's not gender based. That cheating thing is not gender based.
It's just
not
that.
like this thing. But you as an individual, you're going to make the decision and no, I don't want to cheat. And that was why I gave the example that we all think of bad things in by ourselves. Do you understand? But you know, do we all do we do that?
Man, I know what I'm
No,
saying. It doesn't mean that me I
because we
have
it's an inbuilt, we have the morality that corrects that no, you cannot do this.
No, not really.
Okay, so let's go back to the main topic.
Not really.
We need to discuss.
Let's go back to the main topic.
That but not really. No.
The main topic.
I don't agree with you. I don't agree with
Now,
you.
we're coming back to the main topic.
The main topic, back to the main topic. I was saying that men don't drop their standards no matter how old they get.
They do.
If men drop
To
their
the
standards,
last,
you won't see 60-year-old men getting married to 20-something-year-old baby.
Wrong.
You see 40-something. What you go say, I go marry better 26-27-year-old babe. When you go look at and say, guy, how you think get this babe?
No.
Are you trying to say the guy? Men don't settle.
Men settle.
No.
Men settle a lot. Men settle a lot.
What I will say is
now, like
the preference for men change. So not that they settle.
Why are we prediction? Why are we changing? Why are we
changing?
Why are we like settle and preference?
No, there is a
Why are we saying settle and preference? What influences preference?
When it comes to men, it's preference. When it comes to John. Let me ask you a question now. You know a guy now, for example, that is always carrying fine babes every time. He dates fine babes, he punch fine babes. Then he can't talk say he won't marry. You can't say the wife he won't marry ugly. To you, he settled, Abi? Yes or no?
He settled now.
Well, because he don't carry fine babes. But when he won't come marry, now ugly baby.
He settled because he can't go and be cheating on her. He settled.
He not go and be cheating on
so what's the use of him settling when he say has those fine babes at his beck and call? Doesn't that tell you he didn't settle?
That tells me
when
that
when we are talking of settling, no, it's not confused. See, when we are talking of settling, we are saying this guy does not have a choice again. He just has to make do with what he has. That's my own understanding of settling. That he don't get any choice. No other person there for him except this person.
So
but these other people still there. That is not settling. He made his choice. He decided, oh, I've seen all this fine people.
Really?
Now this ugly one I want to be.
That's not what that's not settling.
They be like, oh, I'm at time don't they go.
Like, guys, she don't disturb me almost. And this girl agree like
this
no time.
And that's not settling.
Settling.
That's not settling. That's settling. Because the guy he no go carry person where he no like put for house now.
So
you go carry person where you know like put for house, even if they pressure you.
Plenty guys
do where they no like or anything.
Like a kind of like let me use one. Let me use one. Let me use one. I know. It was a royal family, and the rule of the royal family. Wait, not the same thing. Wait, and the rule of the royal family is any girl wey you give belle outside. Yes, you have to marry her by force. Now still settling.
No, that was different. I'm talking of an instance where a guy has a choice.
What about guys?
No family obligation.
What about guys that they had
no cultural obligation.
And then the girl ended up getting pregnant, and then they were like, "Oh, there's nothing you can do. You have to marry our daughter."
Who says so? And they will not force the guy to marry her.
Doesn't happen. Say it doesn't happen.
No, I know it happens.
So what were you trying to say?
I know it happens, but that one you can't do. Well, maybe you can say it's settled, based on what happened. Based on what happened.
Like
it is based on what happened that it's settled.
However you want to spin it.
You're trying to streamline. You're trying to box this conversation. You're trying to streamline. You're talking choices. You're talking settling side by side choices. These are certain actions that they have carried out that influence their choice.
Okay, wait, John, let me ask you this question now. When someone is settling, when you say someone settles, does that person have a choice or not? Does he have a pool to pick from?
In some cases, yes.
Yes.
And he settles.
Yes, and he settles.
Yes.
That's not true.
Yes.
That is true.
When someone settles, it means you don't have a choice. You just have to pick that person.
No.
You don't say this person give person belle. He no get choice. They don't tell him say you must marry him. You must marry him. He no get choice.
He had a girlfriend, but he just had a one night stand.
And the girl now got pregnant.
Yes.
He doesn't have a choice because he himself, I'm sure his family members, all of them would have already told him that, oh, Benny, you don't give this girl belle, you must marry her. He doesn't have a choice.
No,
as far as he is concerned, concern. But what I'm saying is, you can't compare it with a guy now. Where we say the example I gave earlier, you have fine babes. He now went to carry an ugly babe.
It happens.
He made his choice that okay, I don't want any of this fine babe.
Why?
I want this one.
Why? Meanwhile, those
Probably
girls
he saw that this one will be a good wife. She will give me peace of mind. She will be able to cook for me. She will answer to my beck and call, unlike all these other ones. And he decided to choose her. That is not settling.
Okay, so what's okay?
He made his choice.
So what's happening? What is going on in marriages whereby their man, the men, they were like, I didn't like, I just married her because of money. She was just available.
Yes.
What's going on there?
Because she was available.
Yes.
I've not heard that one before.
You have not heard because she was available.
You will not hear.
Like I just married the girl.
I married the girl because she was
available.
available.
Yes, I've even seen a
available
scenario
I know
like
you
that.
say you've not heard it.
No, I'm not honest. I've not heard
I know you say
that she was just available. I don't understand.
Available to be married.
Available to be married.
Yes.
That's why I now married her.
There's no certainty that because you have a particular spec or something doesn't mean that you are going to eventually find somebody to get married.
Men settle.
Women settle. I agree that women settle. Because to a certain extent they don't have that luxury of a choice to pick and say,
why?
How? You
as they age,
like
fine wine.
Most times, let me tell you something. Shut up. Yes, they do.
Yes.
Let me tell you something. Some of those girls, do you think that maybe they don't have any girl that is asking them out? It's because they probably just not seen their choice.
aging.
Yes.
At 36.
Yes.
Because they've not seen their choice. Yes. Why is it impossible?
What are you talking about?
Are you kidding me?
It's not as if maybe there's nobody asking. It's just somewhere it's changed.
These girls.
We
already won comfort. Don't let them win you, please. No.
I've seen it play out.
So what you're trying to say that when you're 45, you cannot get married again.
Who? As a woman.
You
don't have the luxury.
You do. You have a choice.
You do.
You
can
make
a choice.
You
can reject proposal.
You reject proposal. You go dead there at 45. You go dead there. You go old.
See, let me tell you something.
You go old. At 45, any man will come meet that woman. She go marry.
45, there are some men you can't get married to. Even at 45.
I'm saying, but at that point, you don't see.
You know what?
Emmanuel,
I think the image of the lady you are painting is maybe 13th century or something.
Yeah,
if you're thinking of modern women these days, they cannot be talking like this.
They would rather
Africa.
They would rather remain
Nigeria. Not true.
Yes.
Not
Don't
true.
say that. Emmanuel, please.
To that part, yes. My dear, we have not.
It's a lie. We have not reached that point. We have not gotten to that point.
Are you kidding me?
Nigeria, we have not. My dear, we have not.
We have.
Whoa.
I don't understand
Are you
why
kidding me?
It's just the few ones that people are looking up to.
We kidded you know. It's a lie. I don't agree.
Yeah, which
not
ones?
even celebrities. These are not even celebrities.
The image of women you are painting in your mind is affecting you.
There's nothing like that. I say your family cannot even allow you at that stage.
Say make you just say.
Haba.
How many women do you think can stand family pressure? How many? Can you stand? Even you. Can you stand? You've not faced it.
Yes,
if you
I
faced
can.
it, you will know.
Yes, I can.
Once you get to that point, I'll know if you can.
Man can a man
family
face
pressure.
No doubt.
You not face family pressure. Can you face family pressure?
Doesn't have to stand pressure.
Hey, Jesus!
they could have been dating a girl for like 10 years, and then
Before
make
you
their
know,
mom
they'll
comes
just
and says, look, and they cannot do like, my mom is on my neck, she's standing on my neck, I can't help it, and please, she wants her, she found her, and I'll be like, I said, you don't be like, are you telling me that you cannot stand and defend our relationship? Be like, you don't understand how my mom is. Men,
women that one dey work for the most now. Now women that thing they catch the most now. Not men.
Women are most strong.
See, I want this to call this thing. Why you? What do you choose to call the name? My mama said. My mom said it. Name C or something. Mom C. This thing. My mom said. You are now pregnant.
Oh my God! So one Igbo man told you that. Oh shit!
Women are more strong-hearted than men. Men do not have the wherewithal to
especially when their mom start coming to tell them that see this woman, she's not from the city woman. She's a city woman that will come
that will now be following other men. Look how she's dressing.
See how she's dressing.
No, you not be like, but I've been dating her.
It's like picture people are painting is the 13th century picture.
Now,
modern men, look at them. Modern men like you and Sheyi. Modern men.
Like people and Sheyi from
Can you stand your mom's pressure?
My mom's pressure.
Can you stand her pressure?
My dear, see.
If she stands on your neck, can you stand?
Wait, let me tell you. I quarreled with my parents for months. I wasn't picking their call because of a babe, not from my side.
I'm very
So
firm about my beliefs and my thoughts, and I stand by them regardless of pressure.
Really?
Yes.
You can face your family.
Yes, because I want my best interest.
Even when your family say they will disown you.
Disown me. One. They will not even say they will disown me. Two.
Why?
Disown me to what?
Because you don't want to say what
disown me to. No, it's not even possible. You can't disown me because
let's just say you are from that kind of family. No, let's work with that.
For the sake of argument purposes.
You need to think about it. You need to think about it. If you are from that kind of
if you're family, if you're family, you'll be able to influence their opinion. You will be able to influence their opinion.
Work with what we've said, or else we'll disown you.
To where? Cotonou. Say
we're African. You can't do it without your family.
Whoa! You
see, like this food itself, you don't agree for the family.
You see what I was telling you? Proven. Just hear what Emmanuel said.
I'm not telling you that you should not defend, but I'm saying, can you do without your family? You know the place of the family.
So what you're trying to
So you're saying that they are not toxic families. Like they're not toxic families. And today their parents
but the ratio to men is very is lower.
My dear.
No.
My dear.
Wrong.
Men go against their parents the most than women.
It's difficult to find a man that is actually willing to go
what he's saying is the truth. Let's not argue it. Let's not argue it.
Find a man.
Is it when the men that especially when they are more start saying
especially if they are mom. They'll just say
you see the women. I'm not saying some women can be pressured. I'm not saying that they are. But don't come and say that a lot of women they will just
give in
like that and say that okay, I want to marry. They will elope. What you're trying to say
woman will even stand like
women there's so many times they'll be like, oh, I forced my family because they never even supported the marriage.
Exactly.
Like there's no, it's just me and my husband and my
exactly. Do you know that I know do you know I actually know about a woman like that. So she actually fought, her family were so wealthy. And then this guy, she actually liked him from her program. She liked the guy and her family, they vehemently. You know, like she left that city they were in. She relocated with that man against, like, for a year, even when she gave it to her first child, like, it was later, like, they came around, like she still tells her story and she's like, I stood by this man, like, it's not as if today he's like anything, like, they're just fine, but still, like, you can actually see the fact that, okay, she was willing to go all out 100.
One out
Those
of
women, that woman.
Do you know how many guys have done this?
You know how many guys have done the same thing you are saying? Eh?
Do you know how many guys?
Now guys know they even send family safe.
No.
They bullshit family anyhow.
This thing is saying. This thing is saying.
Do you know the only fact? Do you know the only time that men bullshit family are not is to engage in peer pressure? When it comes to the real thing, nothing.
I'm telling you,
You
don't know.
That's why she doesn't know.
Nothing. I'm so sad.
You don't know. For her to say that it's only when it comes to peer pressure, that's when men flex muscle.
That's
You
when
don't
you
know.
flex muscle.
It's to the family that men.
You never see where man declare papa and mama say I don't want to see you people in my house. And what are you saying?
Yes.
Eh?
Yes.
Those ones
Yes.
are in the movies.
No, you
Which movies? Movies
Which
of where?
movie?
Which movie?
African
Even this one you said is in African Magic. No.
Showcase.
Where that she left
Wait,
her
she
parents
left
and
her
she
parents and went to
to
another town.
that time. Only in African Magic now. African
What's the name of
it? And most times the girl's name is Caro.
Hey!
Caro.
But you guys, the good thing is that you know the truth.
What truth?
The good thing is that
That's the topic. I just know that both is not there's nothing level. It's only female that settles. Men
I say it's only female. I say it's only female. It's only female.
Men settle.
wait, are you actually saying that it's only females that
No,
settle?
the both gender settle.
I don't.
Wait,
The both gender
Some men
settle.
may settle, maybe 2%.
may settle, really?
You would
Say
never.
really?
Before you know it,
Before you see a guy that settles,
You have not met guys that settle.
it is the guy's
Have you met guys?
preference.
Have you met guys that
What he prefers.
oh, suddenly his preference when he got married to the woman, then his preference
You know when a
rebranded.
guy
There was a
settles,
rebranding.
You know when a guy settles, like the
When?
example you guys gave, maybe for example, he impregnated someone, and then the family say you must marry her. He has to settle for that one.
that's not the only.
But not
There
when
are some people.
a guy is
Pregnant.
still
You'll be like,
30.
You not even be like, why did you now marry this girl?
We pick his peck.
Why did you marry
Pick
this
his
girl?
peck now.
you'll be hearing things after a week of
You
marriage.
say, why did you marry this
They're
girl?
already fighting. They never even showed this.
Like,
why did you put that game married?
why?
Like, well,
And he's already like,
It's due to other factors. It's not because he settled.
no,
It's due to other
it's
factors.
because he settled.
Probably he didn't know her character before. When he got in, he
Eh.
had now seen
He didn't know her character, but his preference changed. But he didn't know her character. I thought it was character that made him settle. I thought it was character that made him settle.
No. I didn't say it's character.
you said that. So after
I didn't say it's only
So,
character.
we got you, that's for our character. Before the wedding, you didn't see our character. So after that one,
her character just said there was a
Get
shift.
married, do you think you will know the character of your husband 100%?
okay.
Yes or no? Answer yes or no.
Who is talking
Will you know the
100%?
character of your husband?
Does he know his character 100%?
Wait.
Even if he doesn't,
They always don't.
even if
Allow me to put it
he
there.
doesn't know his character 100%.
Will you know the character of your husband 100%?
You can never know anybody's character.
So what are we Yes, I agree. I agree. I agree. So you cannot know anybody's character. So what you're just saying now, it doesn't
no, you should know. You should know enough. You should know.
It does not make sense.
You should know enough. You should know enough.
You just said now that have you not heard of situations where some people get married and after 1 week, 2 weeks they are fighting? I said maybe because when they got married, the guy discovered some vices she had that I did not know before.
1 week.
And you are tackling me on that. And you just agreed with me that you cannot know a person's character 100%. So what are you saying?
I didn't agree with you. I said when you ask them, they'll be like, oh, it wasn't as if I like that. I just wanted to get married to just
Now lie. Now woman they talk that one. Not the man they talk that one. Now woman they talk that one. Is a lie. It's not no guy will say that. No guy will say that. Nah, I just married her. No, it's not possible. I just married her. That what? No. I don't believe. I don't believe in that.
Do you know what I'm saying? You cannot have issues. You cannot have issues in marriage after 1 week. And I know that you cannot know somebody's character 100%. People don't even know themselves 100%. But you should know enough to sustain the marriage. Say this is that. But the thing is, when we're talking about settling, there are actually guys that just get married. You know, I be like, wow, still, I'm like, why is it like, me, I beg, I just want to marry, like, no time, I just want to marry, like,
wait, I just come marry person we I don't like.
I just want what you're trying to say.
Shay, what you're trying to say
that's it. Wait, I just want to marry,
guys. Like because
I just want to marry.
Man, don't carry this one. Put inside house.
Speak for yourself. You can't just say that, oh, it cannot happen. Speak for yourself. Exactly. You cannot marry someone that you don't like. You cannot say every guy out there.
Guys will not marry somebody they don't like. No guy will marry somebody he does not like.
How can you
it's
say?
Not possible.
How can you say no guy?
No guy. I'm telling you. He's married. He must see something where he like. Either maybe the babe get money or her family get money or something. You can't tell me that a guy will not marry someone that he does not like. No. Don't tell me that. Now women they do that one because they don't look and say, I need to. All my mates are married. Me too. I want to be married. Even if the man let it shall be a man. It shall put me in his house.
80% of men marry people they don't like.
80 what?
30.
You are an armed robber.
Up to 30.
You are a bandit. You are a bandit. You are a bandit.
Yeah, and it doesn't change the fact that
it doesn't mean that because
for women, I agree.
It doesn't mean that
but for men,
an unhappy marriage.
What you're saying,
that now means that
you know what you guys do. You just pick a part of the whole thing I've been saying, and then now say, oh, do you mean that?
Do you mean that words?
4 minutes. What I am
why
saying,
shouldn't we quote you when you are saying it?
See, don't take it out of context. That's what I'm saying.
Talk.
Put it. Don't come and say, oh, do you know mean that happy marriages are caused by marrying people that you do not like? No, I did not say it. Don't say
what did you say?
Please.
Speak for yourself. You are.
I'm speaking for the main race. Because I'm a representative of the men. And I'm saying it here now. And I'll keep saying it.
You will say to
me. It's not possible. It's not possible.
You be like, what, like, it's shocking. Oh my God, I just know it's no
now
time.
I can't carry ugly woman put for house.
No one is talking about ugly or soft. No one is talking about nobody.
Or you just carry somebody he does not like.
Exactly. No one is talking about ugly or soft. No one is talking about
Or he just carry somebody he does not like.
Exactly.
Exactly. Now you're getting the point.
Let me just marry her.
Now you're getting the point.
To like her. Probably.
I don't know about that one.
That one, if it happen,
can happen, bro.
If it happen, I'm not doubting that one. I'm not disputing that one.